Welcome to Common Sense Coalition Talk Radio, where you'll find straight talk from people with good old common sense.
I trust your opinion.
And now, for your host, she's putting sense back into nonsense.
Absolute insanity.
Well, you can hear me on the radio. You want to turn me on, turn on your stereo. You can sing along while they're playing our song. How you done me wrong, baby, crank it up.
And now, your host, Beth Ann.
And I welcome you today to CSC Talk Radio. It is my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to be here with you today. It is Veterans Day. Well, yesterday was actually Veterans Day, but we're celebrating it today on the national level. It's a federal holiday, which means banks and post offices, states and federal offices are all closed, but we're still here. It's always eerie in my part of town when we have a federal holiday. I've got two banks right across the street and the post office up the street, and I'm cattywampus from the courthouse, and there's very little traffic on the road in front of me. So today there is much to talk about, and as we do, I want you to consider, as we approach each topic, I want you to think about the battles we've faced as a nation, the wars, the sacrifices of our men and women, our military. I want to thank all of you listening who happen to be veterans, and thank you for your service. Later, I want to talk about the breaking down of our families, the violence that we witness and fear so much today, the attacks and the assaults on our freedoms and our liberties. The left, the real left, they hate you. They hate this nation. They hate the president because you elected him. They hate the Bill of Rights. They hate the Constitution. They love themselves, and they love slavery of we the people. They want socialism, big government, communism, and that is slavery. As we enter the show today, again, it is Veterans Day. You know, I like to brag on my family once in a while, and I raised 5 sons. I put up with a lot of testosterone in my household, and I survived. They weren't toxic testosterone because they had a mother and a dad kind of trying to keep them in check. But they awarded me with wonderful daughter-in-laws and grandchildren, rambunctious and smart grandchildren, I think. My family is a family of some veterans. My dad was in the Army in World War II. My brother Phil, a Marine in Vietnam. My cousin Dickie, I think he was Army. I could get in trouble for this if he's listening. And he served a couple of different tours in Vietnam. He was one of those guys that went in, what do they call them? I don't remember what they called him, but he went in to booby trap the places where they went. I can't remember what they call those. And then my son Eddie, he served in the Army. I had friends that I went to high school with, good friends now who served in Vietnam because that was the time it was, and that's where my brother served. It's hard to mention all of them. There were many. My dad and my father-in-law both served in World War II. Now, this is where we get to brag about the grandchildren just a little bit. One of my granddaughters had a project in school where she was to tribute to a vet. And in that, she chose to tribute to her great-grandfather, which would be my husband's dad, who served in World War II but also was shot down and was in prison camp. So I'm going to read the letter that she wrote. She got an award for this. She won whatever contest they called it. And this was a letter to her great-grandfather, whom she never really got to meet. Dear Great-Grandpa Schoenberg, I'm writing you this letter to show my appreciation for the year for your service in World War II. I understand that you were a left waist gunner in a B-17 bomber. Through documentation, I learned that on your way back from your 6th mission, you were shot down by Flake and taken prisoner by the enemy. After everything you went through, You kept strong faith and were able to keep others' needs above your own and stayed dedicated to your country. I've been told you tried to enlist when you were in your late teens, before you were of age, and your family was so upset that you decided to wait and help out on the farm. The second time you tried to enlist, you were told that you would have to wait until your finger, which was badly infected, had healed. Your multiple attempts to enlist demonstrate your dedication to this country and the pride you took in serving. After you enlisted, you went on 6 missions before being shot down. You were taken to Stalag Luft I, a German prison camp, as a prisoner of war. In the prison camp, you helped smuggle someone out of the camp in sheets. You took the risk of helping the other prisoner, even though it would have led to you being punished. In June of 1945, your camp was liberated and you made it home safe. After you were discharged in December of 1945, you went on to become a successful farmer and raise a great family. You taught your family the importance of faith and how to make important contributions to your communities. This goes to prove how you overcame the difficulties of what you went through in the war and as a prisoner of war. I will forever be thankful for soldiers like you who put their lives and freedom on the line for my life and freedom. You have inspired me to keep good faith no matter how hard times get. Your sacrifice taught me that you can overcome anything that life throws at you. The determination and demonstrated also taught me things are worth fighting for. Some things are worth fighting for. I am proud that I belong to a family who is proud of our country. Thank you for serving your country and for sacrificing the freedom of the country for the country. Sincerely, your great-granddaughter, Kati. I'm proud of what she did. We had to go back, and my husband's family does a really good job of keeping records, and it was a coincidence, if you want to call it that the woman he married, my mother-in-law, they didn't even know each other at that time. They met much later after he was home for a few years on a blind date. But they all lived in the same county, just on opposite ends of the county. And my mother-in-law's mother kept all the newspaper clippings about the young man, Otto Schoenberg, who was a prisoner of war because he was one of our own here in this county. So we had all of the clippings to share, as well as the stories that later my father-in-law shared, and they had written them down. One of his daughters had written much of that down. So we had what had happened, and we looked on the internet and found some of the things years ago. But it was all there for the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, to know the sacrifice that their grandfather laid down for them. He is just one story of many. My dad served. He didn't have to sacrifice. He wasn't a prisoner of war. My brother served in Vietnam and is a victim of the Agent Orange that they used over there in the jungles. And he suffers today with that, as do many other Marines and those who served in Vietnam. Today is the day we nationally celebrate Veterans Day. And I salute all of you. We're ending to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about that just a little bit more. 877-895-5410 is the number to call. What did these men sacrifice for? It wasn't socialism. It was freedom. 877-895-5410, and we will be right back.